Ahoy everyone, it is Jeff, aka Godless Scammer. Yeah, as the title of this stream implies, just a random one to be honest, where honestly just probably need to kill some time because I got to stay in all weekend and you know I'm bored. So yeah, so I might just come on here, yap away for a bit, interact with the chat if anyone's there. There is a link to join, which I've pinned. Be advised, though, if I don't know you, I won't be letting you in. So sorry about that, but previous experience has told me that's not a good idea. So so who we got? See Doc's in the chat. Critical Cripple, good to see you. Spooky, been a little while. So how's everyone going on this Saturday afternoon or morning, wherever it may be for you? Be as I'm just gonna sit here and drink, to be honest. And but yep, I've got to go and have a bit of minor surgery on Monday in the hospital. Hospital are kind of like you need to stay in for a couple of days. So yeah, it's good. Seraphim, good to see you. Cameron, my man, good luck. God, we need to meet up and have a beer at some point. Um, yeah. So, oh dear. It's already, yeah, already. Oh, but yeah, I'm just kind of so I don't know until any native atheists. Well, I guess unless anyone wants to join, just do a little ask me anything, some pot or something like that along the within reason. Of course, there's one or two things I won't talk about, but yeah, we don't have to pay to go in a hospital, and I only be in and out for the day, so but I'll probably be signed off for a week or two. I don't know. I'm guessing, but I'm not going to get into the details of what I'm having done because I'd sooner not talk about that. But yeah, but like I said, I just said ask me anything, and then I said, hey, then there's things I don't want to talk about as well. So anyone got any questions? I don't know. I will be testing you later on this, so if you want to ask questions, now's the time. As I said, link is pinned, so anyone wants to join, they're welcome. Providing I know you, of course. Providing I know you. Yeah, ask me almost anything because there's but we'll just do that for a bit, I suppose. But yeah, I probably thought it'd be a good idea to just come along, get jump on here, and I don't know, forget about how fucked up the human race is right now, possibly. Um, because I'm zoned out on all the fucking shit with Russia and Ukraine, and Cameron, you must have watched Critical Cripples show actually. Uh, hmm, nose for a cock probably. You have to watch Critical Cripples streams. That's the sort of question to Critical Cripple asks. um, that's yeah. Like I said, I think I'm still planning on. I'm planning on doing this. Like philosophy shows or whatever. The philosophical waffle shows, and so on. I'm just trying to figure out like a right time to do that, and I'm hoping someone would make me like a little intro up for that or something. You know, I don't know. So it's So, you know, I've been doing it. I mean, I've been doing it because the whole premise is what I'm going to be doing with that. And what I'm plan is what I'm doing is that someone who doesn't actually know a lot about philosophy, which is me, sort of takes time to learn. Um, I'm starting off with some basic stuff. I talked about the trolley problem and last time, and I think I think my first one that I did, which wasn't even intended to be a new show, it just kind of I think what was I looking at? It was objective and subjective morality, which I think I'm in a way I may have been jumping in on the deep end a bit on that one, but also reading bits out of this. This is, and I will say, a lot of my atheist is actually, you know, interest in these topics. I actually think that this is a better book to be having than anything by fucking Hitchens or Dawkins. This Graham Oppy's Atheism, the Basics. I mean, if there's no, I mean, there is no, you know, basic book that all atheists should read, but I do think that one is as good as it's going to get. I think helps understand some basic positions and stuff, and it's been kind of fun reading some bits out of there and just sort of gauging some reactions. You know, uh, but as I said, yeah, if anyone wants to come in and have a chat whilst I neck a couple of beers, yeah, we suppose you could do that as well, atheist. But I mean, we do. That could be an idea as well, actually, Seraphim, something along those lines. Actually, I'm sort of yeah, I'm sort of like first couple episodes. I said I talked a bit about like a certain topic, like I did like the objective and subjective morality. I talked about that for a little while. I read an article or whatever and tried to get some thoughts on it, and then I would read a couple of bits out of Graham Oppy's book, and then I did read a bit about the trolley problem, um, which is probably where you need Trolley Dave, actually, to be fair. Even though that's not, he did say that's not the reason behind his nickname, apparently, but it's kind of good. Suits him now when he talks philosophy. But yeah, Atheist Book Club would be a good idea, actually. $25. I'm trying to think. I'm sure I didn't pay that much for it. Is that on Amazon or something? Yeah, it's only a thin book as well. It's not like a massive thing. That's a lot. I'm sure I didn't pay that much for it. But I think it's good because, as people know, one of the things wow, yeah, wow, that's quite a bit. I'm sure I didn't pay anywhere near that much for it. So that is, yeah. I don't know if there's a used copy or something, but I still maintain though it's better fucking reading the God Delusion for a start. Um, and it's definitely or most of the things Christopher Hitchens wrote. To be honest, oh, okay. Now this is a tough one because this whatever the answer, okay, it could be wrong. It could be the wrong answer here, and it's very close to me. I'd say possibly overall, I lean. It's weird. I think I lean slightly more towards Marvel, but I think I look down in front of me here. I'm pretty sure I've got more DC books actually than I've got Marvel ones. Um, I've got quite a few Image books as well, like Spawn. If people remember that from the '90s. I've got quite a few of that. But that's a tough one. I think I might slightly lean towards Marvel, but that's a close call for me. It's a very close call. But yeah, I'm trying to think. I've got Let's have a look what I've got down. I've got a couple of Civil War ones. I've got where's the one I really like? It's Marvel down here. I'm trying to find it. It's me looking down here. Oh, it's frustrating me. I can't find it. Oh, yeah. This is under the label Max, which is Marvel's more adult stuff. But Volume One of like Garth Ennis's Punisher. So this is I love fucking love this. I fucking love this one. But I've got some, like I said, some of the other labels I've got because I've got a lot of Vertigo ones, and that's like an obviously, you know, have I ever watched Dragon Ball? No, never watched it. Don't think I care to watch it, honestly. Honestly, yeah. Um, it's not something that's ever appealed to me. So, no, is the answer on that one. Yeah, I've got quite a few graphic novels down there and stuff. But I could do a whole stream on. I could probably. I mean, the thing is, and I'll ask this one. Oh, yes, I have, and that is fucking brilliant. Yeah, it's been a little bit of Spawn. That's something I've not seen. I'm sure I have seen the film, but it's been a long time. I don't think, I think it didn't quite do justice in certain ways. There's been talk about a remake of Spawn for fucking ever, but I'm gonna go back to this one. Zack Snyder's Justice League. God, did that not change that entire fucking film? From the shit show that it was when it was released. And Josh Whedon one, which I think it. I almost Zack Snyder sometimes his storytelling isn't the greatest. But yeah, I maybe because the sort of darker stuff appeals to me a bit more. I kind of like it. I mean, but I think that whole DC, um, DC extended universe thing. It's I feel like it's like that they might occasionally get something right. It's not. It's like it almost. It's not quite sure what it wants to be. It's why some films on it are fucking amazing. And others are just awful. Like I thought they finally figured it out when they did the first Wonder Woman film with Gal Gadot. Then they did like Wonder Woman 1984, which was fucking awful. With the one caveat, the little cameo at the end of it, if what did was good, but that other than that, that whole film was a fucking abortion. I'm sorry. um, yeah, I said yes. There's been talks about a Spawn remake for a long time, mate. There's been, I mean, there was one thing, there was one concept I heard where it was going to be almost like a bit of a horror, and it'd be sort of done around Sam and Twitch, or a lot of it would be dealt around those two characters. Hey, Nikki, good to see you. Good to see you. As I said, let everyone. There is a link pinned if anyone does want to come and join. This is pretty much open stream, but that atheist poster is doing things to my rock. Nerdy, we go down the rocks are atheist thing again. Gonna be trouble. Just saying, I can time you out. Oh. Okay. Not a massive Bob Dylan fan. It would probably, the problem of answering this is my favorite Bob Dylan song is not his version. It's Jimi Hendrix cover version of All Along the Watchtower would be the best answer to that. Yeah, I gather it is, Nikki, and I got to say, if you're referring to what I think you're referring to, that's one of those things I'm not really wanting to get into publicly. I understand there's I got to, I've got my own private feelings on it, but I'm not willing to really throw, but yeah, everything. I mean, is right, but everything's been, obviously with what's going on in the fucking world at the moment is just fucking frustrating. Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. But I think what I mean. We'll just, I don't know, just say drama that's going on at the moment, and I'm not. I want to. I mean, I'll say that there's a couple of people that I did DM privately and ask what was going on, and sort of stuff. But I still feel like there's a lot I don't know, and I still feel it's something I don't really want to get into publicly. And I think that should be, if anyone does want to address it publicly on streams, that should be with the parties involved. That's up to them as far as I'm concerned. So I'm staying clear of it. That's just how I'm going to be on it. That's just the way. Yeah, that's just. I'm sorry. That's just what I feel is there. Yeah. Well, you don't need to worry, Sarah. It's probably a good choice not to get involved if you don't know. But it's a good choice. Good choice. Not. I think it's something I don't want to. It's something I don't want to get involved in any more than I already have, and all I've really done is asked. All I've really done is asked a couple of people on the, what was going on or whatever, but I still feel like there's a lot I don't know, so I don't feel I can pass any judgments on it. Hey, I haven't seen you in a while, my friend. It's been a long time. Been a long time. I know you don't get out much these days, so we definitely need to try and get you out at some point. Be cool. But yeah, that does not mean that at all. Okay, I don't. There's such a thing as being. There's such a thing as not fucking getting involved. But that's not just. I mean, that's not. I mean, that's a general situation when there seems to be any conflict in this community, though. Critical Cripple. I've noticed that if you haven't picked a fucking side or said something, then means it kind of means that you're on one side or you're in one camp or the other, and I'm so fucking tired of it. I've just, I'm just so fucking tired of it all. I mean, there's been things where, yeah, I have picked sides on and got involved before, and I sometimes feel I fucking regretted doing it. I feel like most times I've done it, I've regretted doing it. And so sometimes it's just best not to get involved with a lot of bullshit that happens. Because I don't. I mean, I don't. I just don't like to be fucking quarreling or beefing with anyone. My take on it. Look, whatever anyone ever says about what some of the politicians in the Ukraine or whatever, as far as I'm concerned, there is only one fucking person who is in the wrong on this, and that is Vladimir Putin. and I'm just singling him out really because I don't I don't even really view him as this is Putin. I don't even um, view him as Russia, and I mean I mean the thing is, I mean, the people often sort of say, well, technically, look, yeah, he was elected, blah 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 blah. He was, but you know, I mean, that other guy was it Medvedev or whatever else who was in between 2008 and 2012. Putin was still pulling the fucking strings even then, and it's from what I would say my knowledge of the Russian constitution is pretty sketchy at best, but a lot of it, I believe, was raised, was sort of obviously the Yeltsin era. That although a lot of like America, it has an executive presidency. A lot of I think the best way to say it is a lot of the checks and balances that can be put on presidential power are missing in Russia, and Putin can, president of Russia effectively can rule by decree, which I'm pretty sure is what Putin does. He's not. I mean, Yeltsin put him in charge of the FSB for fuck's sake as well. So, I mean, this goes back towards the Soviet era, wasn't it? Was it Andropov was chairman of the KGB, wasn't he? Before they made him general secretary of the Communist Party, which is it's kind of weird because like the old Soviet Union, even though so we say technically the people we thought of as head of states weren't really head of states, they were the real power behind like the throne or whatever, I mean, I think Stalin was very rarely officially head of state in the Soviet Union on paper. In fact, a lot of the general secretaries, the only one I remember actually being head of state for a while was Brezhnev, but I think that was still technically Khrushchev's era. So it was all a bit weird how the Soviet Union worked in that respect, because technically the Supreme Soviet or chairman of the Supreme Soviet was head of state, but in reality it was the general secretary of the Communist Party that was the one that was the real power. So yeah, but it's kind of sickening to me watching it. I don't think it's almost one of those things that what do you do here? Because I would be very adamantly opposed to any fucking intervention, but at the same time, what I don't know, it's like what is the ethical thing to do here? And what is the? And I don't honestly. I mean, I made a little joke, didn't I, a couple of days ago in that little short video that I did about listening to the British government trying to talk tough on Putin, and I just feel like, come on, like my whole joke was, where I did the whole Winston Churchill thing was like, come on, about the most your British government, the British state is going to do is dock Chelsea 3 points at the end of the season. Although I've been pleasantly surprised with some of the things that have happened in terms of people or whatever ending deals with Russian companies and so on over this. I mean, I heard was it Manchester United Football Club? They put stop to one of their sponsors. Someone who was giving them money, they cancelled their deal with Aeroflot, like the old Russian airline. So because I know that made the news, and then I heard Anonymous are starting to Anonymous. I think started to try and fuck with Russia a bit as well. So yeah, it's interesting. It's all, but it's again, I feel like I've traveled back to my fucking childhood almost when because I think I was like you know, my childhood, we're kind of the um, last of the Cold War generation, really. You know, yeah. I mean, unfortunately, this is I don't know. This is the problem, isn't it? Because your beef isn't with the Russian people; it's with the regime, and that's where I think this is where the ethical dilemma kind of comes in, isn't it? But you know, the because it's not, I don't, it's not the fault of the Russian people. And from what I've seen, I mean, there was some massive protests in Moscow, and I think in some in St. Petersburg as well. Yeah. She was 5 years old. I was thumping on the door. It was Russians telling the family they'd have to have half an hour to get on the truck and spent the next 2 years in Siberia. Wow. Yeah. It's yeah. That's wow. I don't know what to say to that, Spooky. Honestly, I really don't. Um, it's again, look. Just to point out, there is a comment pinned. If anyone wants to join, there's the link. Um, Zombie apocalypse, I think. Pandemic, war, aliens, or asteroid have struck this. I think zombie apocalypse. I think it's fucking got to be. Um, yeah. So, seen the links here. Damn, I forgot. I forgot Bree streams on Saturdays. Damn, I forgot totally about that. Oh, damn. The people do want to go over and watch Bree. That's fine. But yeah, I'll keep waffling on away for a while yet. So I was just reminded of that. I was almost like forgotten that it's a fucking Saturday, but yeah, it's could be zombie apocalypse. I think has got to be next. It's or yeah, Russia's had a lot of issues, but at the same time, it's really weird that obviously Russia has got a revolutionary history as well as be it a lot of dictatorships. You go back to obviously 1917, and even in 1991 when sort of communism came down. I mean, people remember the coup against the attempted coup against Gorbachev in the last days of the Soviet Union, and essentially the people came out and onto the streets and stopped it essentially. But um, um, anyone want to join? Come on, links there. Anyone wants to chat for a while? So I'm just going to go off camera for 2 secs. I'll be back on in 2 seconds. All right. But yeah, just sorting something out. Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is, this is, I view this as, this is Putin is the problem. Putin is the fucking main problem at the moment. You know, but I will say one thing that definitely has frustrated me over the. Oh, Hey, Nikki.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, good to see you. Good to see you.
I got bored and I didn't want you to be
Yeah,
alone.
yeah. Well, that's what I'm doing. I'm just streaming because I'm fucking bored in a way. I just just need something to do. Yeah, I fuck that. I mean, it's just fucking. I just feel like my faith in humanity is very much near its fucking end right now. So
Wait, this is just a
hi,
recent
Doc.
thing?
It's
Hello,
been
hello.
built. It's been hey, Doc. It's been building for a long fucking time.
Hey, Doc.
Hello there.
You know, it's been building for a long fucking time, and this week has definitely not helped.
So, are we having fun yet, kids?
Define fun and
Yeah,
Well, if it's the same thing I'm having, it's probably not fun. Fun should be more fun.
yeah,
fair.
yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of having fun on Twitter, but we're not going to
Hi,
talk
Claire.
about that. Hey, Claire.
Yeah, oh yeah. If that's what I think it's about, no, we're not talking. I am making an executive call about on that subject. Let's put it that way. If that's what I think you're on about, but
I was already under that impression before I even joined.
yeah, I think I
I already know better.
Yeah. Yes, there's definitely I am going to use like as the chat as the host of this stream and my prerogative to ban any talk of. I'll just say what it is: non sequitur show. Okay, that's it. That topic is that topic. We're not. It's not up for. I'm not throwing any my sense in it on it publicly. I've said what I've had. I've said what I've got to say on the whole thing, really, and that's it. Done.
Agreed.
So I view it as up to the two parties most directly involved. If they want to go public in their own way with this, I leave that up to them, and that's it.
You mind if I respond to a comment / question in the chat?
Which one?
The one about the superpower stuff.
Is that Marco?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be fair, the United States is the only remaining world superpower. Now, there are other world powers, i.e. Russia, China, and a few others, but the United States is the only remaining superpower.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say really it's China's the only one I'd say realistically could challenge to become a superpower. I'd say. I mean, even now with Russia as big as it is, their military, for example, is still a fraction of the sort of size it was under like the old USSR.
Well, it's not even that. It's just if you're wanting to judge it by pure military prowess, as far as stuff like that, you're talking. The United States basically controls the oceans and the air.
Yeah.
Since we are a country that is in between two oceans, our land power is formidable, but there are countries that far exceed our numbers. Not technology, but numbers.
Yep.
I think, yeah. I mean, because there's two ways. Obviously, you have to look at what you consider a superpower, militarily and economically. Obviously, the big problem the USSR ultimately had long term was it couldn't compete economically.
Yeah.
Because their system became so bloody bureaucratic and that it just it just did not run with any efficiency whatsoever. But see, this is where I think China's, but you've had other people who say you could like you could say for a while in the 1980s, Japan was competing economically with the United States, but obviously couldn't compete militarily. China's obviously the one where you think it's possible that they could compete on both levels. Possible.
All China at this point would have to do, because they are catching us technologically, they have the manpower. They just need to get the Navy up to snuff. And since China only has a small coastline or usable coastline, that may not be an option, because most of their conflicts are going to be landlocked.
Yeah. But I mean, because obviously when one time, the British Navy was like the biggest in the world, but it's an absolute fraction of what the Royal Navy is a fraction of what it used to be. But
are we going to go back a couple hundred years?
Yeah, pretty much. I'd say probably about 150 at the really. I'd say to the time when it really started slowly swinging more towards the United States being having the superior navy. Probably the last time I'd say was we had Britain had it was possibly just before World War One, when we obviously launched the Dreadnought class of battleship, which just made every other ship in the world obsolete.
Right.
Unfortunately, including the rest of our own ships. But so I know you were in the U.S. Navy, weren't you, Nicky?
Yep. Oh yeah. And that's where I agree with Mirko. The U.S. right now, militarily wise, is undefeatable. We just have too much shit, and our technology is too decent.
Critical saying China builds a equivalent of the Royal Navy every year, and just done to. I'm sure they are building.
But they don't have certain classes of ships that can basically fight and end their own wars. That's the issue. Russia actually has a few of those, but
assuming no nukes, I wouldn't assume that, critical cripple, because China's had nukes for fucking decades. So I wouldn't assume that at all.
China is a threat. I'm not going to be delusional about that. But a lot of their sea technology is several decades out of its prime.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Diesel boats aren't.
I don't know if you know. Obviously, I've never been in the military, but I should point out. I don't know if I've ever told you this, Nicky, that I do come from a little bit of a Royal Navy family. With my dad and grandfather were in the Royal Navy, and my mum was what was called a Wren, which was the Women's Royal Navy Service. They're just, they abolished the Wrens, and now just women are part of the Royal Navy, which I think is cool. But so my dad was on the old submarines. I think he would have been on he was certainly on when we had the Polaris. He was in that era, those classes of submarines. Hi, Johnny. Good to see you.
Hiya, Junie. And Nicky, I didn't know you were a veteran. Thank you for your service.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
I subbed 2.5 years in the United States Navy on a submarine.
Groovy.
Okay. While a navy is important, what makes a country a modern military superpower is the ability to sustain a war anywhere on the planet. Yeah, absolutely. But while a navy is important, says a man called Bartholomew Roberts. I just like the joke in there. I just like the little subtle irony in there. It was like a famous pirate.
No, I agree with that, Bartholomew.
Yeah.
China is not far off. It's just for them to do it on the scale the U.S. currently is doing it. Their military has their navy in particular has to get up to the level that ours is. I mean, right now we are currently
Yeah.
operating 11 super carriers. That is literally a private island with its own airfield.
Well, let's put it this
And it
way.
does damage.
Let's put it this way about the difference between American aircraft carriers and the two that the Royal Navy have got. Now, probably the biggest naval port in UK is Portsmouth. That's very much a Royal Navy town.
Yep.
Because we abolished the sort of old classes of we had 3 aircraft carriers that we got rid of, what the old class like Illustrious, Ark Royal, and HMS Invincible. And then there's the HMS Queen Elizabeth, and I'm trying to remember what the new one's called. I can't remember, but we got 2, and they're massive ships. But here's the difference: they can dock in Portsmouth Harbour. American aircraft carriers cannot get into Portsmouth Harbour. That's the difference. We know this because there was a big thing for like VE Day a number of years ago, and an American carrier came along. And they couldn't, they had to sort of anchor in the Solent because they couldn't physically get into Portsmouth Harbour.
That's what happens when you displace 90,000 tons.
and Portsmouth is a big harbour. Portsmouth is a pretty damn big harbour. No. Oh, hello. Oh, Jenny, come back. I just noticed Jenny was in the background. Come back, Jenny. Oh. Oh, I didn't. Sorry, Jenny. I didn't see you back there, and I noticed you. You went.
I'm just having more, typical StreamYard problems. So no problem.
Oh, okay. I was like, I hope you weren't waiting too long. I thought I was like, I didn't notice you back there, and I thought, oh God.
No.
The second I noticed you, you went.
No, everything's good. I'm sorry. I feel like such a dope. I saw your, announcement, and I, put my little clock on it, and I ended up getting lost in some rabbit holes, and and then I just suddenly went, oh my God. So here I am.
Yeah, no worries.
Hi, Jenny.
Hi. How are you guys? Doc, I don't need to talk to you. I've seen you too much for the last couple of days.
Too much.
But hi, Nikki. How are you?
I'm doing better than I was, but yeah.
I'd love to ask you about the
in DMs.
The drama going on, but I don't want to pollute Jeff's screen.
People know the drama we're on about. I've already made a little ruling. We're not discussing it on stream here. Okay, so I'm sure we all have our thoughts on it. So I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, that's why I said DMs.
Yeah.
So what you guys talking about?
Right now, I think the military in Ukraine, right?
Basically how the world's going to fuck right now.
Yeah, that's kind of scary. I'm real surprised the Russians didn't roll over the Ukrainians in Kyiv. They couldn't take the town overnight.
I think there's some fuckery going on in the background that we don't know about. But yeah, a lot of us are coming to a similar conclusion. It's just that, holy shit, the Ukrainians are fucking badasses.
I guess.
Good for them too.
I saw the footage of like basically the civilians, lining up to sort of volunteer and whatever, and they're all getting their Kalashnikovs or whatever. They're like, we didn't want to, we're not soldiers, we don't want to go to war, but we're under a fucking attack here. What do you know? I mean,
Yeah,
They're
like some
defending their
interviews that
homes
were going
now.
up and down
Yeah.
the lines waiting for these people waiting to get some arms.
Also,
Yeah.
I want to say this. Anyone remember around 2012, or actually just in the last decade, how everyone's been like, oh, we should pull out of all conflicts. U.S. shouldn't stick its nose where it doesn't belong. Remember that for this current situation.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, these fucking right wingers here are trying to blame this all on Biden and if Trump was here, this wouldn't have happened.
oh,
Trump
fuck's sake.
fought his ass off to keep them from getting any weapons from
kidding?
us whatsoever.
Are you kidding me? Trump was so far up Vladimir Putin's ass, he could write a book about his intestines.
You're not wrong.
He's still up there.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, mainly, it's like I think it's like Trump. Putin is like the one man in the world that Trump really wishes he could be Putin, because it's like Trump wished he had the kind of power that Putin had,
Or just the
Yo.
balls.
Yeah.
If we're going to talk about balls, the Ukrainian president has beat everyone in the world to that one. So
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to give it to him. I mean, he's in his fatigues and he's out there. He could get unalived just like anyone else. It's.
I always remember there was
him.
I've got something in my it was my old Have I Got News for You book years ago. This was when the Balkan War was going on, and there was a question in it, and it said it was the odd one out. Okay, you had to spot the odd one out and why they're the odd one out, and your options were Saddam Hussein, Pol Pot, Deng Xiaoping, and the guy who was at the current time president of Bosnia, in the middle of the Balkans when the Serbs were, fucking up, doing what they were doing. And so, obviously, who was the odd one out? Well, the odd one out was the president of Bosnia. It says, not because it says, now, the reason being, okay, obviously, 3 of those guys are very nasty, evil, vile dictators. Saddam Hussein, Pol Pot, Deng Xiaoping. So this guy is president of Bosnia, and he's not. So which 3 have the British government supplied arms to, and which one have they refused? Yeah.
Oh my god, I love memes.
Yeah.
Memes are so awesome.
Well, I fully intend to plant a bunch of sunflowers this spring, just out of respect to Ukraine, and the Ukrainian people. They're doing the best they can. I couldn't imagine being in that situation, to have a giant knocking on your door and knowing that ultimately there's nothing you can do about it. They're brave fuckers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things where you can just see Russia's going to occupy the Ukraine. It's just how uncomfortable they can make that occupation for the Russians, really, isn't it? So, but even with countries that have held out against superpowers like Vietnam or Afghanistan in the 80s, they still had still have some help coming in from the outside in one form or another. So.
Oh yeah,
well,
and
Biden just dropped another $350 million in arms to Ukraine.
Well, that's the thing is, like in Korea and Vietnam. I mean, there was a slight little incident in Korea with the Chinese, but generally
Yeah.
it was either the Chinese or the Russians supplying the weapons, and that's basically what we're doing. The same thing right now is because the way, and that's one thing I think people are missing outside of certain other things is when you open your threat with nuclear retaliation for getting involved militarily, you kind of got to go, here's our stuff. You should already know how to use it since, we're all kind of, similar. And we're doing everything we can until they fuck up. Which means, obviously, going beyond the initial incident. It's the reason why we've NATO, the United States,
Right.
and all supporting countries have
Oh,
fortified
it's an
several
interesting
ways.
comment. It's an
Oh,
interesting comment.
one of the political
Says,
surprises I saw this morning was that Hungary has approved cutting Russia off from the SWIFT network.
It won't matter.
No, how come?
It's too late.
Put only pressure to Ukraine to give independence to those two republics by talking. That would have been just. Well, yeah, of course it would have been justified by talking, but it's
And plus, China's still allied with Russia, and China is still a fairly good economic power to back Russia. They don't need they don't need the rest of the world to move and manage money. They already have all these systems because China isn't as far as an isolationist as North Korea, but China did it right.
China was obviously for 20 years under Mao was heavily isolationist, but it was really, even though he was a pretty nasty character in his own right, Deng Xiaoping, but he was a bit more pragmatic in the way he dealt with like the West and the way he dealt with like economic policy in China, which sort of was almost led to really. You look at China, that it's on paper it's a communist country. It's kind of communist in name only, really. If you look at the way the economy is structured and stuff, but
it's a hybrid between communism and capitalism.
Yeah. It's definitely a sort of form of state capitalism, you could possibly say, but
economically, but politically, it's an authoritarian dictatorship.
Yeah,
that too.
Which again is not even remotely what communism is supposed to be. But
nope.
Hey ho, that's a long rabbit hole to get into. But
it's communism in name only right now.
Yeah.
And the reason that China is a threat to the West, and most Westerners just don't get this, is because they understand the long game better than most Westerners are even aware of its existence.
Hard agree.
But hey, our next quarter is going to be really good.
Yeah. I'm going to step out for 2 secs. Talk amongst yourselves, guys. I desperately need nicotine right now. So,
yeah,
talk amongst yourselves.
So, Nick, can't you get in trouble for spouting politics?
Nope.
No, you're not in that end of the club?
Nope.
Oh, that's good.
I'm in the I'll say what I want and fuck everyone else. Because I have been self-imposed restricted for a few years now, so yeah, the whole Eastern Europe thing has been a hot zone for several decades, ever since the fall of the Soviet Union,
Hmm.
and even before then, even during the 1930s and 40s. So yeah, I really feel because all right. So like I made a comment earlier, I play with a game that involves several of these countries that are currently in war or in the NATO area and then that region. I feel for them.
You feel for them? Is that what you said?
Yeah, both sides, because this is a Putin war. This is not a Russian war.
Oh yeah,
And
I agree. I mean, look at all the citizens who are protesting in St. Petersburg and Moscow.
but I have come to know a few Ukrainians in my time, and they're damn decent people. The way this is going on is Napoleon syndrome, in a sense. Russia has kind of it's been not necessarily relevant for a long time, and I think this is kind of his way of saying, you know what, fuck it, I want to be relative again.
I just Russia just makes me so mad, politically. Um, I must say I haven't met a lot of Russian people. Well, yes, I actually have, but I'm not going to get into that. But politically, the Russian people have never been free in their history.
Not
So
truly, no.
they seem to need to have an authoritarian government as a personality of their citizenry, a cross section of their citizenry. They don't understand how to be free.
Well, and that's going back to their history too. I mean, look at their history all the way up into the early 1900s.
Oh yeah, exactly. Well, no, even beyond that.
Well, I'm not even getting to the
they had
communist era.
a little bit of an open period between like what 1904.
That's when communism was trying to
and
get there,
1917. But other than that, they've never been free. They had a couple of years also when after the wall fell and Yeltsin was around and shit, but it never went anywhere. People, it was free, quote unquote, free and democratic, and capitalist long enough for the people who were positioned well to get filthy rich and to imprison everybody else in the machine.
that or eradicate anyone who opposed them.
Yeah, and as soon as it had that kind of divisions in its I don't know what do I want to say, existence, its citizenry, the oligarchs came ahead and took it over, and Putin's just one of them. He's been stealing from the country and the people for years.
Ooh. Oh yeah, back.
Welcome back.
I might be a minute or two behind. I don't know because I was listening in, but I was just listening to what Jenny was saying, and there's some truth to what Jenny said, but also there's been little snapshots of history really with Russia, and it's they I mean, like I said, for hundreds of years they lived under an autocratic monarchy. Even after like 1905 or whatever, when the Duma was established, it was not exactly a constitutional monarchy at all. It was but what you almost had in Russia on two occasions, in 1905 and then in 1917, was a sort of almost dual power going on with the workers' Soviets, which were absolutely about the most democratic form of government we've ever seen on Earth. But there's a whole number of reasons they didn't last. I'd say the Russian Civil War was a big reason why, in like the it just didn't last in Russia. But it's a long history to get into. Because I mean, initially, like in 1905, like the Bolsheviks, for example, were very suspicious. They didn't sort of trust the worker Soviets at all. By 1917, they had totally changed their position on this, and but really the result of the Russian Civil War was that Russia became a bit more autocratic. The communist government became a bit more autocratic than it is intended to be. Certainly by the time that, even a couple of years before, really, but Stalin was starting to get his claws in about a year or two before Lenin died, to be honest, as well. It's a long. I mean, and I'm not going to say Lenin was a fucking saint either. Who's been? I mean, Lenin's a very misunderstood character in history, but he's not a saint by any means either.
No, he wasn't. He was a douche. He was a douche. He wasn't an evil asshole.
Yeah, he but
oh, I got my hot take on this. All right, so can we all agree Putin is Stalin 2.0?
I hope he hasn't gone quite that far yet, but he's in that. I think he's certainly in the realms of somebody like Brezhnev, at least.
Well, if he's been executing that many people, we sure haven't heard about it.
Not necessarily.
Mind you, we didn't hear the full. We didn't hear exactly the full extent of Stalin's crimes until after his death, though. So
true. In a
I
lot
mean,
of ways, absolutely, he's just like Stalin.
I mean, even when Khrushchev eventually denounced Stalin, it was done in a private. Yes, it was at the Communist Party Congress or whatever, but it was in a private session. It wasn't part of the bit that was broadcast to the people or anything. It was in a private session where he eventually did denounce Stalin and said, "Look, we can't hero worship this guy anymore. He did this shit, and we can't." So it was quite
I just wish the Russians would finally put Lenin into the ground.
Instead of idolize him.
He's been a circus attraction far too long.
Yeah, I'll tell you anything now. If Lenin's own widow, when he died, Krupskaya, actually said, "Look, if you actually want to, don't build this fucking things. And if you want to honor my husband, build schools, build hospitals, that sort of thing. If you really want to honor, I mean, really, essentially, this was the start of Stalinism in the sense that they built Lenin as the sort of founder of the country, but Stalin was portrayed as his right-hand man, which he fucking never was at all. Stalin was a bit part player in the revolution. He might have been on the Central Committee of the Bolsheviks, what became the Communist Party, but he was never like that big of a figure during the revolution itself. He was an absolute bit part player, and Lenin actually tried to get him removed before he died. Not long before he died, Lenin tried to get Stalin removed because he was like. He was trying to get the word out to the rest of the Central Committee. This guy is going to be a fucking problem. Get rid of him.
Yeah, well, that's what we said about Trump too.
Yeah.
I hope I don't get everybody in trouble for saying this. I just can't believe that in all of Russia, there isn't one person who can't rise up armed against Mr. Putin.
Well,
I mean, they all know how bad he is.
Yeah, well, like I said, it's happened before, though. I mean, like I said, when those guys from the KGB, like Khrushchev and whatever, tried to launch that coup against Gorbachev, people came onto the streets, and critically, in that situation, the army did not put them down. and similar thing in 1917. You know, when it when the during the Russian Revolution in Petrograd, when the Tsar sent the Cossacks in to deal with protesters, and then the Cossacks sided with the protesters. So this is kind of a big key. Is when the elements of the armed forces start turning. That's a big key in any sort of situation that's revolutionary. I mean, you look back. We don't even have to look that far back. Look at the Arab Spring in Egypt 10 years ago. Mubarak really fell when not only was the massive protests and the strikes or whatever across Egypt, but then the army actually broke ranks with the regime.
I can't think of any revolution that did not include the military that was successful. Maybe it has, but I'm not
France.
I was about ready to say France.
But
France is the only one I can think of in recent, because that was a full-on peasant uprising.
Yeah, standing militaries weren't such a big thing then.
Who are you saying?
Well,
France.
France, 1789.
Okay, yeah.
And you got to remember that standing militaries were generally very small back then. Hence, because there was this whole idea that you didn't really want to have standing militaries, or have very small standing military.
I guess we actually put America.
This is why you've got the Second Amendment, because that was
yeah. All these right wingers are standing there. The Second Amendment's the only thing that's keeping those people from invading us. Well, let's see. What about two oceans on either side, two friendly countries on either side, and probably the most powerful military that the planet has ever known? You don't think you don't think those guys out there are really afraid of Uncle Festus and his AR-15? Come on.
well, see. Here's the thing with the United States. The United States got lucky. We are one of the hardest countries to invade.
Yeah.
And we're massive, and we are that hard.
We found that out to our cost,
There ain't going to be no sneak attack on the mainland. It's just not going to happen.
Well, the thing is it comes down to the logistics of the situation. Russia has the only iota of hope to ever try to even consider invading the United States. Well, let's look at the Ukraine situation. They're not doing great, but they're not doing bad either.
Yeah. Hence, Russia's probably the only country that historically has been harder to invade than the United States.
That's because of the cold. So
well, I mean, Napoleon was so bloody confident in the victory that he didn't even supply his troops with winter gear.
Well, Hitler,
as well, both of them, and Napoleon got further because he actually did take Moscow, but
that's the great part. Is Napoleon actually made headway. He made it to the civilized. He actually encompassed the civilized Russia.
Yeah, but even there, they should we say scorched earth policy sort of pretty much said, you can have Moscow, but there's fuck all here for you to take. And if anyone's obviously read the bits about Napoleon, as his armies moved very fast because they were trained to live off the land, so they just take from people what they needed while they went, kind of thing.
I thought Napoleon was the first army to actually feed the troops preserved food.
He may have been, but his armies were very much taught to live off the land. Slight problem with that in Russia, and especially if they adopt a scorched earth policy. But this is why when Britain actually invaded the peninsula in like Portugal and Spain, one of the policies of it took the British Army a long time to push France back, but one of the things was they wanted to get their supply lines sorted out, and the other thing was there was a policy of, hey, if you are gonna you want stuff from the locals, you pay for it, because the French just took it and were hated for it, especially in Spain.
Well, you pay for it, you're going to win the hearts and minds battle.
Yes, and that was a very deliberate strategy by Sir Arthur Wellesley, who was in charge of the British Army then, who later became the first Duke of Wellington.
Oh, so Charles was his fault?
No, he's nothing to do with them.
Or did he invent the beef thing, the raw beef?
The boot, I think the boot,
Yeah,
the Wellington boot was
They
Bartholomew,
make their boots out of the beef Wellington that people can't stomach.
Bartholomew, yeah, they'd have to go through a lot to get to the United States. They went through Canada. There's a lot. There's a lot of rough terrain. There is a lot of angry wildlife.
I would think that if Russia was serious about it and really wanted to and planned well and got their logistics all set up right and ducks in a row, that they could make a mess of Alaska.
Alaska, at this point, I'm conceding if it came to Russia trying to invade the United States, we will lose Alaska. Outside of that, not going to happen.
Is that big of a loss, though?
No, it's not.
Oh, it's huge. Are you
No.
kidding?
In the short term, it's not that big of a loss. It's like, okay,
Well,
Russia took Alaska, we're going to go take it back, and then that would be the end of it.
Well,
Okay,
if the 1980s,
long term, absolutely. I mean, the oil fields.
That's why I said short term, no. Long term, yeah, but you would have taken it back before it started impacting us long term. We would initially lose Alaska.
I would just if that ever got to a state or whatever, like where Russia is going to invade, I would just I don't know, maybe just give Russia Alabama and Mississippi or something, and just say, yeah, you can have that.
Well, remember, Russia is the ones that sold Alaska to us, so it was their fuck up, not ours.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, right now the United States logistically is the only one who can fight wars on other fronts across the globe. Russia can invade the United States, but they'd be better off if the United States didn't have several advanced technologies that could defend against it. I honestly think the only way, if this is back in the 1960s, Russia could probably have done it. Now, I'm not very confident in it.
Well, if the 1980s taught us anything, is that Russia might be able to invade, but courageous bunch of resistance fighters led by Patrick Swayze and Charlie Sheen will fuck them up badly.
Well, true, and this is another thing with the point on Alaska. They got to cross a lot of territory, and by the time they get to anywhere that's relevant in Alaska, we're going to be up there already in force.
See, everybody always points to this movie with Patrick and Charlie. And I've seen it. Red Dawn is a good film. I really enjoyed it myself.
Wolverines.
But they never mentioned the other movie, The Russians Are Coming. The Russians Are Coming. Go watch that one and then feel all brave about the citizens defending. It's a comedy.
Yeah, it's also not including, let's see, it's also Alaska, which has polar bears. And I guarantee you most of Alaska is armed because of said polar bears. So, yeah, I don't think Russia would have a fun time invading Alaska. Not that they couldn't do it.
They also have
a fun time doing it.
They also have a great built-in alarm system. Sarah Palin would just stand up there and say, "I see the Russians are coming. I see the Russians are coming." You know, it's
She'd be trying to snipe him from the helicopter with her gun.
oh god.
It's like it's okay, Palin. Just imagine they're wolves.
It would almost be worth the invasion just to see that shot of Sarah Palin trying to do that.
That's if she would. Remember, she is a Republican.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure she's all for. Well, you know, actually, that I wonder what kind of conflict she has in her.
Oh, I remember the days when I always look back on the days now with nostalgia when I thought when I really thought Sarah Palin was like the absolute limit of how dumb the fucking Republican Party could be, and then now you know, I always look back on that on nostalgia. Now we've got people like Marjorie Taylor Greene
And the orange Cheeto.
and Boebert or whatever the fuck her name is.
Well, Sarah Palin was their model.
Yeah, and Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Hello.
There's a lot to unpack.
Hello, the stream has just gone downhill. By the way, I didn't see you there.
I've only just arrived. You were very quick there, actually, Jeff.
Stool, how are emo sperm futures today?
I'm just taking a break from doing shit because life is shit. And I came to have a little relax, and LBC was still on my little wireless, and it's pissing me off because all the cocks are phoning in going, it's all our fault. Putin's not to blame.
Oh, you got tankies phoning into LBC today, have we?
Oh god!
What are tankies?
Stalinists.
Oh,
honestly, you know what it is? Somebody summed it up. I mean, I knew anyway. Somebody summed it up on Twitter. You know, all the anti-vaxxers are really pissed off because they've had to pause their little grift because of this war's interrupted. So they've had to find some more bullshit to spew.
Well, that in America has dropped all mask requirements across the entire country.
Not quite.
Well, there's a few private institutions. I mean, hospitals haven't, and certain things, but the CDC said there's no reason for people to wear masks indoors anymore. So they're not going to. I guarantee it.
I don't think we've got any rules left in place anymore.
No.
Still, I just noticed your name.
Yeah, and also, hey, Stool.
Okay,
Hey.
Doc had to go in to get some food. So, hey, Mindy, long time no see. Yeah, good to see you, Mindy. You want to join the links up at the top there? Been a long time since I've spoke to you. So,
Oh, hey, Tina. I see it.
Hi, Tina.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, I can't keep up anymore. I don't care. But all our rules and laws have gone now. There are none, unless you're, I don't know, traveling abroad or something. But
or about to have a bit of surgery within a couple of days.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm indoors right now and streaming.
All right. What are you doing some surgery in the room?
I'm having some surgery done on me. I'm not going to get into the details of what it is.
Oh dear, do not do that. No.
Well, all I can say is that you're going to look great with the cat ears.
We're like, yeah.
If he gets cat ears, I won't be insanely jealous.
Why do stupid question.
This is actually quite relaxing because, as some of you might know, I've got new neighbours. I use that term loosely, and they've gone out, so it's nice and peaceful. Fucking teenage girls, huh? Oh, Jeff, who needs teenage girls?
Yeah, well, whatever, you know.
Depends what you're going to do with them.
Yeah, you did start off. You did start off your sentence by saying "fucking teenage girls," so I'm a little concerned.
Well,
about that
it's
still,
okay.
but-
It's okay. When he started that, he got put immediately on the
Fucking
list.
as an adjective
18,
or a verb.
18 and 19 is okay, but like any below that still, yeah.
Oh no! These are legal ones, and I've no intention of touching them or anything. But that sounded weird. But they're foreign people. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not going weird. But they're in a strange country. They're from Nepal, and language, and the students, so they will be minimum of 18, university. And they've no money, so they're bored, and they run around in their pajamas. And I'm trying to paint.
Yeah. So I'm not actually sure I'm comfortable where this is going. I honestly, but
It's going nowhere now. I've got it off my chest.
yeah,
It's okay. It still has been put on 5 more lists.
Yeah.
And we might have been put on a list ourselves just by association.
Oh, Mindy's asking, is that an avatar pic of you, Jenny?
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. So it's identical for her mum's best friend for 40 years, so it's looking like her doppelganger.
I know nobody's ever told me I was a doppelganger before. It's
Yeah.
kind of a weird feeling.
I've got a doppelganger. I actually have got one, and I've seen him.
Yeah, Compo from Last of the Summer Wine.
Oh, fuck you, Jeff.
Did you see that I did a retweet of it? There was a picture of a dog going around that is an absolute doppelganger of Putin.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Wasn't that
That's
like
a hilarious meme?
Wasn't that unnerving? Ew.
I'll see if I can find that.
I've got no comment on that.
I can dig it up and send it to you on
No,
Twitter.
don't want it. Don't want it. I am quite content being in my section of the world without that image.
To be.
So I think everybody's got a doppelganger.
I agree.
Yeah, this
That's
thing
it.
here. Yeah, this thing here.
Is that Putin or not?
Fucking Vladimir. That is fucking
Putin.
Vladimir Putin.
God
That's-
damn it.
Oh
That's
man.
tremendous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that poor dog.
I hope you enjoyed that chat.
Mm. Yeah. That,
Oh no, Tina. He's not Adolf Putin. He is Stalin 2.0. And I will die on that hill, by the way.
well, I from what I've seen of certain, should we say, certain documentaries that have been translated into the English language from Russia over the last few years, it does seem like there is an actual attempt being made to rehabilitate Stalin. Not just Stalin, Lavrentiy Beria as well, which is like what the fuck, you know? Really
I'm late. Did you see
sickening.
that? Did you see that video from Ukraine of the broken down Russian tanks?
Mm-hmm.
And the guys filming it are the Ukrainians in the car, and they stop, and the Russian soldiers they've broken down, they've no fuel, they've no food, and they just stood there by the tank. And the Ukrainians say to them, where you going? It's in their language, obviously. And the Russians said, we don't know. And they literally didn't know where they were going. and the Ukrainians said, "Do you want us to tow you back to Russia?" And they all laughed about it. You know, these are soldiers on opposite sides in
Yeah.
the war, and they're all laughing because the Russians haven't got a clue what they're doing.
Well, so it's like the whole. I mean, my stepfather has told a story about his dad fought during the I think World War II, I think it was, and yeah, they would be shooting at the Germans or whatever during the day, and then they'd go, and then they'd meet up with the Germans at night and play cards with them.
It's mental.
Yeah,
It's just crazy stuff.
Did you see that video of that woman who was reading that Russian soldier the riot act?
Yeah.
And of course it was in Ukrainian or Russian, so I couldn't understand it. But some people translated the whole video, and there's a transcript of it now. And she really told the guy, just, hey, fuck you, fuck you, you're bad, you're evil, fuck you. It was really great.
yeah, it would have been. It probably would have been in Ruski, to be honest. I would imagine in Ukraine. So,
Nikki, what do you think Putin's ultimate game here is?
Basically, to annex fucking Ukraine.
And more, I think.
And more. I think
He's completely lost the plot. I mean, Macron said when he last visited him, he said that he's changed. There's something wrong with him. You know, he's gone a bit.
yeah.
Because apparently he's utterly paranoid. Well, he's gone very bunkerish, like that other guy, you know. Because he's been hiding away because he's paranoid about COVID. Hence the big, massive table that's about a mile long that he sits at one end and his guest sits at the other. He's completely lost the plot. I
haven't heard any of that. We don't get that kind of truth intermedia here.
Yeah, well, Macron's
you're watching
like
the wrong
only
media. Because
Macron's like the only like it was the last leader who tried to intervene, wasn't he, to try and stop him?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, Macron visited him, I think, 2 years ago, and it was after that he said he's changed. There's something wrong with him. So, and he is old. He's what, 70 something or other, and he's your typical dictator bunker person. He's getting paranoid, and you know, everybody's out to get him.
Well, maybe with any luck, the people around him.
He's 69 years. He's 69 years old.
All right.
Like I was trying to say, I hope there's people around him that realize whatever's going on with him and won't push the button, if you know what I mean.
Well, we ain't going to do. I mean, let's be honest, we ain't going to do fuck all. I mean, that guy's carried out two like assassinations on British soil, and we've done fuck all about it. So that's why I laugh at our government trying to talk tough. You know.
I think this is a difficult one though, because this is like the orange shit gibbon, because the common sense tells you that nobody's stupid enough to press the button, and that there will be sensible people around who will prevent it. But when the crazy person is surrounded by fucking arse lickers who are scared of the crazy person, fuck knows what will happen.
Well, I heard several stories during Trump's presence where the people around him that carry the football were having to explain to him, no, you can't do this.
Yeah.
you can't launch a nuke. Nuclear weapons are not tactical. Okay.
Well, like I said, there's been twice that they've used the Russians have used like poisoning techniques or whatever, or chemicals. It's on British soil, and we've done fuck all about it. Alexander Litvinenko would be the first one, and then there was the thing in Salisbury, wasn't there, a couple of years ago? If you remember that, still.
Site
Yeah. And his thing, I loved like the Putin people who were defending Putin, the conspiracy theorists at this point, who were saying, well, it might have been the British government testing stuff on their own people, because like Porton Down, which is this big chemical weapons researcher, is only a few miles out of Salisbury. How do we know the British government didn't do this? And I turned around and said, well, for starters, I know the British. But still, you and I, we know the British ruling class, all right? If they were inclined to test chemical weapons on their own population, they're not going to do it in fucking Salisbury. They're going to do it in a fucking council estate in somewhere like Bradford or Leeds or something, aren't they?
Liverpool.
Yeah, exactly. They're not going to do it in somewhere like fucking Salisbury, which is like, middle to upper class Tory heaven. And I know that Salisbury's about 20 miles from where I live. I know, I know what Salisbury's like. So, yeah, I did.
It gets very, very tiresome. These people really make me want to stick things in my eyeballs. Listening to them on, calling into
I would
LBC.
encourage you to not do that.
Well, I've turned it down and come to play with you people. I don't want to stick things in my eyeballs.
Yeah, but you want to stick things other places. I mean, I've heard you say it.
You have no evidence.
By the way, hi, Dog. Dog's saying, Putin won't stop at the Ukraine if he gets away with this.
If he does,
yeah, I think Belarus could be next, possibly.
I want to say this. I want to say this on that. Any place that is not directly protected by either the UN or the United States, Putin's not going to stop, and he's going to hit those countries too.
Well, Sweden and Finland better get their ass in NATO pretty quick.
It's not a short process.
Well, yeah, it's not a short process, but I will say, hopefully, if history repeats itself, the last time Russia tried to fuck with Finland, it didn't end well for them.
Yeah, but remember, that's you can't look at these things that happened that long ago.
I know that, Jenny,
comparison.
but but it. I honestly don't think they'll fuck with Finland. I think if he's got imperialistic ambitions, I think his whole thing would be all of the former Soviet Union republics would be. I think is what I think his ambition would be.
Well, all those little nations up there, Estonia and those other
Lithuania,
guys,
Latvia,
they're all going to go down.
Armenia,
And
those places, yeah. Kazakhstan, whatever, he hasn't found a credible. But like Ukraine was like the biggest of the former, other than Russia, is the biggest of the former Soviet Union republics.
I think his long-term game is to rebuild the Soviet Union with all the same territories they had before.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Swallowing up all the the long term would immediately be swallowing up the former states that were part of the Soviet Union, and there's a lot of them.
He's on record of saying that. I mean, he is totally obsessed with the old Soviet Union. He wants that back, and he misses it. And he said that he hates Gorbachev and what's the other guy called? I forgot the other guy's name.
Yeltsin.
Because they spoilt everything for him. He's
he owes, which is a joke because he owes his position to Yeltsin.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a weird thing because Gorbachev, I mean, he's in his 90s now. He lives in Paris. He's like persona non grata in Russia.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
heard
he
that.
can't go back there. He lives in France nowadays. He is absolutely persona non grata in Russia.
Well, Russia did the thing that the American right is doing right now. They decided that it was time to embrace authoritarianism.
Hmm.
You know, they cut their own throats for freedom.
Back in 2 minutes, guys. Talk about yourselves.
Yep.
I think that one of the reasons they took Ukraine is they wanted Chernobyl, which they took that on day one.
Well, also there's
because-
another thing with Ukraine too. They have a good chunk of oil too.
Ukraine has got a good chunk of everything because it's the biggest supplier of wheat.
Let me finish my thing. I thought Georgia was.
It's Ukraine, actually.
I think they wanted Chernobyl because they see it as an unending supply of material to scatter in a dirty bomb.
Somebody, an expert person was saying earlier, it's surprising how much of our stuff comes from Ukraine, where they're the kind of biggest supplier in the world.
On Etsy, if you go through Etsy, there are countless independent people who are making products and selling them on Etsy. And I've bought some of the things, and they're really well made. That's kind of why I've become a big Ukraine fan in the last few years. Is just I've been really impressed with, and the service that you get. I mean, you order something and it's in your hands in 5 days from Ukraine. It's like, damn, I'm impressed. And if you have to return something, they're completely gracious in doing it. It's just
that's pretty cool. It will take longer than that from the UK. No.
Yeah, it does, and more expensive.
Yeah. All these things.
The other neat thing about Ukraine is you can buy a lot of old things, like legitimate Soviet Union type of memorabilia if you want, Russian or Soviet flasks or Soviet poofy hats or all that kind of weird stuff with the sickle and hammer.
Mm-hmm. It looks
also,
like.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, it looks like. I mean, I'm not a Ukraine expert, but from what I've been watching, and I've been listening to a couple of British reporters who are out there, and they've been sort of phoning in and giving updates. And it's weird what they're experiencing because they're describing it, and they're not hyping it or anything. They just, they're not doing a fox or anything. They're just telling it how it is. It's surreal, is what they're saying. It's really surreal. They described it, or one of them described it as, because we might not understand the size of Ukraine, and so you see the images or the video, and there's nothing going on, and so all the weirdos are saying, yeah, there's no war and all this. Big place, and he compared it to London, and he basically said, well, where I am now is like Lambeth. The fighting is going off over in another name of a London place. So it's in pockets, but in the centre, the capital of I can't remember its name. Oh, Kiev.
Does anyone know how big Ukraine is relative to comparing to any American states?
It's a fairly large country.
It's huge, yeah.
Is it Montana large or Texas large or large or Alaska?
I would say
large?
probably close to Texas large.
That's pretty big.
It's humongous, yeah. And the capital is a really nice place. I'd never seen it before. Really pretty. But it's deserted.
Right now it is.
Right now, yeah. How long have we got left now? Well, maybe in the next 12 hours or something, that'll change. If the reports are true.
I wish there was something that I could do. You know, I feel so completely
They gotta go fund.
powerless.
Yeah, they gotta go fund me up. That's about, as far as I know right now. That's about as far as it goes.
Well, yeah, I mean, somebody, it might have been you, Jenny, somebody mentioned earlier that somebody on Twitter had said, if you want to help out, you know, you can donate to these various things. And one thing that is worth doing is donating to the people who do proper journalism, the people who are actually reporting properly, rather than, you know,
Fucking
I
RT.
mentioned
bullshit.
that I,
Oh, by the
came
way,
across on
I
Twitter a group that is doing a lot of street tagging propaganda, pro Ukraine street tagging propaganda, and they were asking for donations, and I suggested to people that they should donate because citizens seeing that and feeling the moral support on something like that is just as important as a soldier getting a gun.
Uh-huh.
And so if you could send them $5 for a can of paint.
All right. Oh, right. Let's find this. I'm going to share. Still will appreciate this. Okay. I know. I think.
Just more emo stuff.
I think Jenny might have seen this, but you might appreciate this. Speaking of like shills to the fucking Putin.
No, I haven't seen it, but you got blocked by George. Good for you.
Yes, I got blocked by Galloway, and I'm fucking happy about that.
Congratulations.
I can't get banned by any
That's
of
an
these fuckers.
achievement. That's an achievement unlocked. I'm fucking happy with that.
It doesn't matter how rude I get, and I can't get banned by any of these fucks.
I'm going to put myself full screen for a moment because I'm going to say something. This is like kind of very personal to me right now. Okay. He will never hear this, but I'm going to say this is a little personal thing to George Galloway. Okay, look. I got your book here, George, okay? I actually had your book. At one time, you were a guy I actually respected because you took a very good stance on the Iraq War and against what Blair was doing. To see you go from, at least, even though you were always an egotistical tosser, you always were, you at least at one time used to stand for something. But now you just got this job on RT where you fucking shill for Vladimir Putin, and the fact that you've also shown yourself to be a transphobic motherfucker as well. George Galloway, fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
Big fuck you on my behalf. From someone I used to look up to, someone who now I just think you're a fucking arsehole. Fuck you, George.
With a dry stick.
Yeah, sorry. I wanted to get that out of the way. Somebody please fucking clip that, and I can release that
I think
for sure. All right.
We would be here for a very long time if we did the fuck yous to everybody in this country who deserves a fuck you at the moment.
Okay. Hops, who's George Galloway? George Galloway was for many, many years a Labour MP, and he got kicked out of the Labour. Now, there was always some questions about his, shall we say, links with the Iraqi regime back in the time, but here's the thing: Galloway was effectively kicked out of the Labour Party for being very basically calling Tony Blair out on his fucking lies about the Iraq war, about the invasion of Iraq. Okay. I actually respected Galloway a lot at this time. I knew he was an egotistical arsehole. I mean, in this whole thing of like going on bloody Big Brother or whatever was fuck it. But he's taken this job where he's a punt now. Well, what happened is he was kicked out of the Labour Party and he formed his own political party of a number of others, which I was a member of at the time, called Respect, because we desperately needed an alternative from the left to Labour at the time under Blair. We got Galloway elected as an MP and then Galloway just proved to be a loose cannon who just was all about him fucking self. but in the last few years, he's worked on RT, which is Russia Today, which is a news station, which is essentially will give you some decent news coverage, except it's anything to do with Russia because it's pro-Putin. So now George Galloway is a paid ass kisser for Vladimir Putin. So yeah, fuck you, George.
I think they used to have RT in America land, but they get kicked out of America land.
May have done. We
I have to
still have
excuse
it.
myself for a minute.
See you, Hops. Well, see you later, mate.
Breakfast
Hops,
guy.
Hops, I know you've been like busy. You've been things have been a bit rough for you recently, and I really hope all is well. But love to get you on a stream again, mate. Let us know when you're available. I'd just like to talk to you again, mate, because I know things have been really difficult for you recently. So,
Is he well enough to eat bacon and eggs?
I don't know, honestly. Hopshead does have some issues, but it's not my place to say what's going on. So, but yeah, I hope you're okay, Hops, and I'd love to get you on the stream again at some point soon, because Hops is like one of my first friends. Yeah, Hops is like one of my first friends I actually met in this community when I started out really and started getting into like atheist YouTube. And Hops is one of the first people that kind of took a chance on me or whatever. So so yeah, love you, mate. And he knows his beer as well, so.
Oh yeah, he's a proper beer wizard.
Yeah.
And this is not about Hops, but Ofcon have been a bit dickish with RT, with the RT situation, because because they're dicks. So we've basically got Russian propaganda being pumped into our TVs.
Yeah. I much prefer the Ukrainian propaganda because it's much more entertaining.
Yeah, RT's just RT had its RT had its uses a few years ago with covering some stories that happened in the UK that the BBC and Sky or whoever would not cover. But when it comes to obviously reporting anything honestly about what's going on with Russia, it's not a news source you want to be going to. They are very, very pro-Putin, and Galloway is a pundit on the English version of RT, and I lost I lost patience with him a while ago because he said some really disgusting transphobic shit on there as well a few months ago as well, but fuck him, basically. Fuck you, George.
Oh, I just farted. That's unlike me.
Huh?
Guys, I'm probably going to wrap this stream up in a few minutes. Okay, so we're going almost 2 hours now. But
holy crap, it's been that long.
Yeah, well, bear in mind that I was in the first half an hour. I was pretty much by myself before you jumped in, Nikki. So, I might wrap this up in a few minutes. But any of you guys got anything to shill? Or you?
No comment on that because yeah.
Oh, because of that situation.
Yeah.
Okay. There's
I want to say this. The only thing, just keep an eye on Twitter.
keep an eye on Twitter for Nikki if you want to see about that thing and we're not talking about, and you are curious. Yeah, follow this space. Stoll, you got anything you want to plug, mate? Or
No.
nah, I didn't think so. Jenny, oh, Jenny's muted. I don't know if Jenny's got anything she wants to promote or. Jenny must be away from her. Oh,
No,
Jenny's back.
I didn't realize I was muted. Anything to plug? No.
Not really. Okay, yeah. For me,
Well,
I am gonna
Stay tuned for my
okay.
upcoming book. I can't tell you the title because someone will steal it. I can't tell you the subject because somebody will steal it. But it's going to be good.
Cool.
It'll be done in a couple of
Yeah. Like I said, I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try and actually start this show I've been doing called Philosophical Waffle properly. And I'm just trying to find an ideal time slot for it. And I'm thinking it may be Sunday mornings UK time, or I'm trying to think of a regular time slot. But I'm planning this to be a weekly show or something. But that's pretty much it for me. Obviously, some other channels you can regularly catch on. One Ring 42. I'm quite often on this their media musing show. But yeah, otherwise, I'm here and about numerous places. Think we might draw this stream to a close then. And I think we can probably all agree. We'll just say this: solidarity to the Ukraine right now and people in the Ukraine, and to people in Russia who are taking the stands against Putin. I think we can end on that note.
I want to do something. Can I do a fuck you, please?
Yes, please do, Stoll. Please do.
Listen, you fuckers, you fucking cunts. I've been telling everyone since November 29 that the shit was going to hit the fan when you got into fucking office. And I knew it because I know what you're up to, you sneaky, conniving, charlatan cunts. This was going to happen. And it's all on you, you thieving, money-grabbing, sneaky little stinky bastards. Fucking hate you. Fuck you, Johnson. And you, Patel, you fucking bitch.
How are
And
the
you,
people,
Mog.
as Dog says?
Mog, fuck you. Fuck you, Mog. You've gone very quiet lately, Mog, haven't you? What's your nanny doing, spanking your ass? Naughty boy, naughty boy.
Ooh, that sounds like
I never. Do you know what? Still, all the times ever since I've known you, I've never heard you say a statement that I so wholeheartedly agree with.
Oh, shit. It is the end of the world.
It's the yeah, fuck me. That's it. Okay. Hopefully we'll all be back in streaming on other channels if nuclear war hasn't fucking happened by tomorrow and we're not all fucked. So see you guys later. Okay. Salute.
Letters.
bye-bye.
Bye.